feel like I got the short end of the stick here. Yeah. I feel like I picked a small straw at some point.
I volunteered and Luke said, no, you're the new paid regular. We all know Willie's the guy who gets cut.
I could have stayed home. I was comfortable.
You got a mic?
You have a mic?
No, you're good, Tom.
What? You have a mic. You can stay as long as you want.
I don't want to do that.
No, absolutely. Willie's a traffic guy.
Usually we talk about the comedy store, and so, I mean, this could be a nice episode, like a throwback talk about the store and your roles here, and that'd be really fun. That'd be fun.
What did you say?
There's no way you can't hear me if you were listening and not just thinking of the next thing to say. Welcome back to the Comedy Store Doorcast. I'm your host, Luke Schwartz, and we have a special episode today.
We absolutely do.
It sure is.
A bunch of door guys and fun people here with me. To my left is Tom Dreesen.
Yeah, Tom Dreesen.
Say hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
And then over in the corner is Willie Simon.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And then across from me is Logan Guntzelman.
Hi. Have you ever had just a person who seems like a ghost on it, like off? Because won't people be?
What do you think about
the Comedy Store ghost?
Yeah. This is the face that Bobby Lee saw in the
and Bruce
bathroom.
Gray is here too.
Hey, it's me. It is very funny that
we have shows
on
every
audio. You
Friday
can't tell how far away Willie is
in the belly room. Shows every Friday in the belly room. And if you come at 10:30, you could see us go up. Tom, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, Tom Dreesen, everybody, come on.
Yeah.
Well,
stand-up comedy legend Tom Dreesen.
I came here tonight to try to get a job as a doorman, and
they're hiring.
put me into this.
You have to showcase though again.
yeah, just showcase as a 3-minute showcase.
Yeah, only 3 minutes.
We should probably explain to the 4 or 5 people who watch this show.
Dozens and dozens, but this one will be several hundred probably. So that's something.
How this all came about is that I came here to just look over the room. I'm going to give a motivation talk next Monday, April 24th at 5 o'clock. It's called The Joy of Stand-Up Comedy and How to Get There. I give motivation talks to corporate America and to universities and there's things like that my whole career. Stand-up comedy is my love, of course, but this is a passion of mine. So I talk on 4 subjects: perception, visualization, self-talk, and develop a sense of humor. And I elaborate on those 4 points. And I talk about this journey that I went on starting here at the Comedy Store. I started out with a comedy team. Tim Reed and I were America's first black and white comedy team. History shows we were the last. Tim went on to become Venus Flytrap on WKRP Cincinnati. He was on a show called Sister Sister. He played the father.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
Sister Sister.
Yeah.
Very funny.
So
it really is. I watched a lot of Sister Sister over the pandemic. I'm not even joking.
Who is your favorite character on Sister Sister?
Is Jack A. Does Jack A. play the mom? Is that what she plays the mom on? Who plays the mom? Is very funny on the show. I'm thinking of a different show, but they're which one Jack A.
is? Lisa Landry, right?
I remember the show itself. I remember because it was more of like it was on a Disney Channel thing, so it was like.
What year did you come to the Comedy? What year was it?
1974,
and
I had to do.
Did you drive out here? Did you fly out here?
No, I flew out here. I did a gig in Houston. It was the last gig that Tim Reed and I had because he wanted to become more of an actor. And so my ex-wife hated show business. I wasn't in show business when I met her. You know, when we got married, I had a wife and 3 kids, and I was working like everybody else. You know, I came out of the service after 4 years, but I had this passion. I felt so unfulfilled everywhere I went. Every job I had, I'd say, this is not what I want to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I would sit in a bar with my buddies at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and say, I don't belong here, but I didn't know where I belonged. You know, so by pure accident, I was in a civic group called the JCs, and I wrote a drug education program teaching grade school children the ills of drug abuse with humor, a concept I had, making the kids laugh, play records, and then plant the seeds. They weren't teaching drug education in those days at a college level or a high school level, let alone at an elementary school level. So it was just a concept I had, and helping me with the program was Tim Reed. He was a young guy right out of college. And long story short, you know, one day the program became very successful. And one day, a little 8th grade girl walking out of the classroom said, you guys are funny. You ought to become a comedy team. And the thought of a comedy team intrigued us because no one had ever done a black-white comedy team before. So we started writing what we thought was material. Now, there were no comedy clubs in
This is all off of the advice of an 8th grader?
8th grade girl. And by the way, we still know who she is. We wrote 2 books. And we wrote a book called Tim and Tom, An American Comedy in Black and White, about 15 years ago. And I just wrote a book called Still Standing, my journey from streets and saloons to the stage and Sinatra. And we talk about her. Her name was Vicky Sharufka. That little 8th grade girl is now a grown woman. You know, she's a grandma now. You know.
Did she ever do drugs, or did
no?
your,
Did it work?
No,
Did it work?
Yeah.
Well, not even her, but we had. I'll digress here. One of the things I treasure the most in show business is, in all the years I've been in, the 52 years I've been a stand-up comedian, is that Tim and Tom, wherever we went, wherever there was racial tension, and mind you, this was 1969, the Vietnam War. Kids were protesting the Vietnam War. I just got out of the service.
So it's
Tim
everywhere.
just got out of college. Yeah. There were race riots in every major city.
Right.
As
point,
bad as you
Ghost.
think tension is today, it was really heavy in those days. In the middle of all this, we were going around the country trying to make people laugh. But there were no comedy clubs. So we did prisons. We did anywhere there was racial tension. Wow. We did high schools. We did colleges. We did 11 prisons in 1 year. The county jail
Prison
3 times.
tour.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you get paid? Did you get
No.
food?
Because
What'd you get paid?
original
are
Johnny
they
Mitchell.
What are they paying?
No,
Why are you're going and volunteering to do comedy act?
That's when you had no comedy clubs. There were none in America. You had to get up on stage somewhere to be bad. We had no place to be bad.
Did you ever do the strip club? Any those old gigs?
We did jazz clubs. We did
Jazz
anywhere
clubs,
they
cool.
would let us get up on stage. You know, strip clubs, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We would get just to do 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever. And you know, so you know, again, wherever there was racial tension, that's what we want. But one of the things I was going to say is that the thing I just think about the most, I can't tell you how many times in our tour, and Tim would tell you the same thing, a young black kid would come up to us and say, you know, I have a white friend that I like to reach out to. But if I do, the brothers are going to wear me out and stuff. But after watching you and Tim tonight, I'm going to reach out to my white friend. And then a white kid would come up and say, you know, I have a black friend, you know, that I'd like to reach out to. But if I do, the white guys are going to call me names. But after watching you and Tim, I'm going to reach out to my black friend. And those days, you didn't see a black guy and a white guy walking down the street together, let alone on a stage together.
Yeah.
So I treasure that more than anything else. You know,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
What just as far as especially Comedy Store specific stuff, what led from, I guess, you, like you were saying a little bit earlier about hitchhiking up and down Sunset to get here and finally like getting past, what led from there to being, because you were the union leader, right, for the strike?
Yeah, and I sometimes almost regret that, although because it turned into such a chaotic thing.
Yeah.
I went through the procedure like all of you are going through. You know, I stood out in front and waited on a Monday, and I was 31 years old at the time. The comedy team had been together 6 years. I was now a single, and I'm out here in line with kids 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, you know, and thinking that it was over for me, you know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't give up, and that's what my motivation talks are about. And I showed them how I got from point A to point B, you know. But what happened was
that as a duo or as just Tom?
As Tom.
Yeah.
When I came here in 1975, I got on the Comedy Store. I came here in '74. December 1975, I did my first appearance on The Tonight Show. They came here and saw me here at the Comedy Store. And The Tonight Show, in those days, 26.5 million people watched that show. One appearance on that show, and you were on your way. And one appearance, Freddie Prinze got a sitcom the next day. I did one appearance. I had a wife and 3 kids and in the unemployment line. And one appearance, the next day, CBS signed me to a development deal, paid me $10,000 check and $1,850 a month for 1 year. That meant my rent, my groceries, for the first time in my comedy career, were paid for a year.
Yeah.
That I can now focus on writing material.
Logan's
Being a
crying.
comedian now sucks. Being a comedian now sucks. So someone just being like, here you go for every month. That's
Because you're on one TV.
Obviously a testament to how good you are, but that now it feels like, that doesn't
move the needle as
it
much.
means a lot. It's exciting to be on late night, but
Well, back in the day, it was
It was
It's
the
just a
only
difference.
way to
the
see.
biggest
Yeah, it's the only way
It's
to
a
see
different
someone.
landscape.
Versus-
We all
Yeah.
know this.
Well, it was a stairway to stardom.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
26.5
of course.
million people watched that show, you know, and overnight. I did the first appearance. I did 61 appearances on The Tonight Show, but the first one,
Settle.
the next day,
69 would have been funny.
only.
I mean, all of a sudden I was doing Dinah Shore, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Johnny Carson, Midnight Special, Rock Concert, Soul Train. I'm the only white king that ever
Is that
did
all
Soul
on
Train.
CBS?
All
gotcha.
these different,
Gotcha.
you know, and just because of that one show, for some reason, when Johnny Carson called you over to sit down and talk to him, you had arrived. When you did one appearance on The Tonight Show, to America, you had arrived, but to our industry, you didn't arrive till you sat down and talked to Johnny.
Yeah.
So there was a stairway to stardom for comedians in those days. Today, you've got the social media as your only way. To me, you could do 20 appearances on the late night shows, and I don't know how much it would enhance your career, but you young people know what social media is all about. You can get, look at Joe Rogan. 12 million hits a night.
Yeah.
12 million. Not to mention.
Bruce edits clips. If you want to get some clips, hit him up. Yeah. He's gotten millions of views for other people.
Yeah, I work on a lot I make a lot of social media stuff for people, and I've helped a lot of people get a lot of stuff going, and then I run out of time for my own stuff.
Oh.
It's kind of an insane conundrum, a little bit. It's kind of an evil conundrum, it seems like somewhat.
Well, then we'll talk after this show.
I'm the new Stairway to Stardom.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to talk to me.
Bruce the Kingmaker.
The door guy. Yeah.
There you go.
Everyone's film? Are you filming all of yours now, Bruce?
Yeah, absolutely.
You film everything.
In the past week I've been a little bit off, but yeah.
What gets the most hits? Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Twitter's not in the running.
Instagram and TikTok, it can kind of be back and forth. But
Twitter's my favorite, but it's terrible.
It's better to get. I don't know. It's kind of back and forth now. Used to be even a year ago, it was much better to get a lot more hits on Instagram than TikTok because as far as people the retention of everything and people I guess actually coming out versus now it's
Instagram's the new Facebook. Can we all agree?
But Facebook's good too.
Facebook is back.
Facebook
is back.
It is.
I think you're
Facebook
just older and you
will pay
aged into Facebook.
My prayer warriors on Facebook that the people that reach out to me Facebook now, but now it seems like Facebook are it's real people, and so people who are getting big hits on Facebook now are crushing it.
Really?
But it's
Well,
because
it's a weird mix of there are some people who
Tom's ready for that. Tom's tapped in.
Facebook.
But they become very successful on the internet, but it's a weird guessing game of if that translates to ticket sales because that's all that anyone else cares about. And when you have a lot of followers, they go, well, this is proof that we'll sell tickets. And I've done shows with people who are very internet famous that end up not selling tickets, that their fans go, they can see them online.
Anyone
why go?
lately?
And then not anyone in particular, but then some people who have podcasts, their fans are diehards and they'll come out. And I think what Bruce is kind of saying is Facebook people who are real people, they will also come out, I guess.
And they're usually older too, so they can afford tickets. And
that's the other thing is a lot of people who are our
demographic.
age or younger who would be fans don't have the money for tickets and a 2-drink minimum, so it's tough to get them.
How
to
much
leave the
time?
house.
I have a question. Say you're going to put something on TikTok or Instagram. What would 60 seconds, no more, or would you?
60, usually 60 to 90 seconds.
For,
That's the limit.
for Instagram, but it's up to 3 minutes for TikTok. But
Really? Yeah.
they changed it.
Because I'll tell you what, when Facebook first came out, my daughters who were going to help me with all this and never ended up not doing it, they put me on Facebook, and I got 5,000 fans right away. But what they didn't realize, that maxed me at 5,000.
Yeah.
So then they said I couldn't get. Now they realized, we made a mistake, Dad, and they did it again and maxed me at another 5,000. Now I've got 10,000 people, but now I couldn't go anymore. And I was getting all these friend requests. I didn't know what to do, so they started a third one. But this third one now is unlimited. However, I can't transfer. I didn't know how to transfer those 10,000 over. They told me I'd have to eliminate everybody and start all over again.
Yeah.
So it's a nightmare.
Such a bummer.
Yeah. And by the way, have you ever
to
tried to
do
get a
that
hold
in
of
order
somebody
to
on
do stand-up
Facebook?
comedy.
Oh yeah. If you try, I had this issue with Uber the other day for 2 hours. I couldn't get him on the phone because I left my keys in there like an idiot.
But Uber, they will somebody eventually call. Facebook, no one will ever come back to you.
But I know what you're talking about specifically because Dave Waite, who's another door guy who just got passed, he had created 2 pages because if it's a personal page, then they cap you at 5,000.
Right.
But if it's a fan page that people can like and
unlimited,
follow,
right?
it's unlimited. But in theory, what you now have is 3 different pages for 3 different Tom Dreesen. So Dave, he didn't know this and had a 1 page for Dave Waite that hit 5,000, and then he's got second page Dave, that's his other page, and sometimes he'll comment and like from both pages.
Terrible branding.
Yeah, so you'll get comments. He's like, yeah, you can
He's a
second
silly
page Dave
guy.
is getting
the
involved.
Dave whisperer. Everything about Dave.
Logan
just knows.
she understands
Logan
Dave.
loves
No
it.
one else does.
Dave makes me exhausted.
He is exhausting, but he's my
Dave rocks.
he's like my
He's your spirit dad.
or it feels like he's like the coach of my softball team.
Sure, for
and
sure.
that's our relationship.
He was. It was all good vibes in the main room last night. Seating was a breeze. It was really fun to seat with that
Dave?
crew, with Alex Young and Chapeloni and them. It was really nice.
How,
How were door guys when Tom was here? Do you remember any key door guys that were here?
When it
was
was first of all, the first time I came to the Comedy Store, I was working the Playboy circuit with Tim Reed, and there were 17 Playboy clubs in America and 2 resorts. So it was like vaudeville. Comedians, you do 5-6 shows a night. So Tim and I, our timing got incredible. But we were working the L.A. Playboy Club, and I came over here, and Sammy Shore at that time, Mitzi didn't own the club at that time. Sammy Shore, her husband, had
so this is like, you said 70, wait.
70, it was like 72 or 73 when the first time I came here.
72, that's the year they opened.
But I just came to see it.
Yeah.
And what it was any comic who walked in could get up and do an hour, could do a half hour, 45 minutes.
Anybody. That's
how would
crazy.
you, if someone got up and it was clear very quickly that they were either insane or not funny or both, could they be kicked off stage, or would people just sort of watch?
No, Sammy would not let anybody up who was unknown.
So someone had to vouch for them before.
I thought the way you made it sound is that just you could walk in and say, "Hello, I'm a comedian."
Oh no,
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, what
8 hours.
It was wide open.
No, he wouldn't allow that. However, that's what the genius of Mitzi, though. When Mitzi won the Comedy Store in a divorce, Sammy didn't think the Comedy Store was going to do anything if he had known what a gold mine it was. But he didn't have Mitzi's brilliance. Mitzi turned it into a Ford assembly line. Every 15 minutes, another comedian. If you'd have told me in those days when I first started out, hey, you're going to go on tonight, there's going to be 7 comedians in front of you. There isn't a comedian in America that would have done that.
Yeah.
Hell no, I ain't going to follow 7 comedians. Who ever heard of such a thing? 7 comedians, you'd be saying, well, I got to see what material they're all doing, if it conflicts with mine. But Mitzi turned it into an assembly line, and it was very, very effective. Again, this was the only game in town.
Yeah.
I can't describe to you what this place was like in 1975. This was the hottest place in the country for comedians, mainly for a couple of reasons. Number one, Johnny Carson left New York in 1972 and brought the show out here. And one appearance on the show, as I just explained, your whole life changed. So we all migrated out here, Jay Leno's and David Letterman's and Tom Dreesen's and all the comics that Michael Keaton and Elaine
I
Booth.
forgot.
He's got a neon up there.
Robin Williams, and
Batman.
we all came out here to get that chance at the Tonight Show. So to get but every night in this club, every night someone was getting discovered. Every night some comedian come off stage. I just got the Merv Griffin Show. I just got the Dinah Shore Show. I just got the Tonight Show. Or Canada had 3 shows up there that they would fly you up there, and you would tape 3 different shows for them, 3 different 5-minute sets. And then they would air it all year long. They were flying comics up there. This was
now every night here, a comedian's getting canceled every single night.
I mean,
somebody walks off stage and they're like, "Oh no!"
It was exciting. This was the most exciting place in the world for comics to come to.
Yeah, of course.
And that led you to when you led me to the strike. I did my first appearance on the Tonight Show, and I was on my way. Now I'm touring all over the country. I'm touring with Sammy Davis Jr. With Gladys Knight and the Pips, with Natalie Cole, different.
When you
artists.
were touring by that time that you were touring with Sammy Davis, was it the oddity enough of not oddity, or was it still kind of not awesome that a
Stigmatized.
white guy and a black guy are going out together?
No, I mean, Sammy and Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack.
Oh, yeah, that was already happening,
They did
of
all
course.
that. That already happened. However, Sammy, I did his show called Sammy and Company, and I did a whole routine about being the only white kid on an all-black basketball team, which I was, and I played football on an all-black football team, and all these routines from my childhood. I had an album out in front of an all-black audience called That White Boy's Crazy,
Really?
Yeah. I'm
Can
the
you, is it anywhere? Can you find
Yeah,
it?
I did it in 1981 or something. You
Yeah.
can find it, but
That's awesome.
But it's the only.
Hey, did you get those streams up?
Yeah, hey, check out That White Boy's Crazy,
Yeah.
Tom Dreesen.
Yeah. And they still air it on, every now and then get a check from, what is it, Sound or something?
Sirius
Check.
XM.
Yeah, like about 100. But anyhow, the point.
We're both like,
guys
that's the best
get
day of
those
my week when I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, little.
But Sammy, touring with Sammy, I was now making a lot of money. I was making 6 figures. And every time I'd come back to L.A., come off the road, I would come here and sign up the Comedy Store because I was working on new material for the Tonight Show.
How did the sign up work? Were you already?
No,
you were
I
passed?
just have to call at that time. I just have to call and say, hey, I'm in town. And
These days of the
Like
week.
your
I guess.
avails?
I'm
The
available.
avails, yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially when I was getting ready to do the Tonight Show, I'm going to get to the strike in a minute.
No, you got it.
Yeah, this is what I used to do. people say, how do you write material? The best question I was ever asked on an interview, and I've done 1,000 of them, was, are you a comedian who's a writer, or are you a writer who's a comedian? I said, wow, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I'm a comedian who's a writer because I love stand-up comedy. I hated writing.
Yeah.
But to do The Tonight Show, you had to do a new 5 minutes every time you did The Tonight Show, and it couldn't be two guys going to bar jokes. It had to be original monologues. Yeah. So I was in a constant state of writing new material. So I'd come off the road, and then I would sign up. What I would do, I'd call The Tonight Show. In those days, I had carte blanche, so I'd say, I'm ready March 18th, and that's 3 weeks away. And they'd say, okay, Tom, you're booked. I don't have the first joke. Now I'd go into manic mode now. Everything you said, that's funny. Let me write that down. I get a new hat. Let me write something about hats. I was in a constant state of writing new material. So I would force myself. I'd come here 3 or 4 nights a week. And then when the improv opened up later on, I'd go over there. And anywhere I could go to try out the new material.
Did you ever get any pushback from Mitzi for doing both?
Yeah, she did. By that time I was established. She didn't really. If you were established, she understood that you might have known Bud Friedman prior to knowing her or at the same time. But she didn't want her newbies, that she cultivated, working over there, But anyhow, so now I come off the road one time, and we always worked the original room. In the main room was a guy named Art LeBeau, had a 50s club there. Yeah. And when he sold the club, first of all, he started a comedy room in that room to compete with her. And of course, she told us.
Basically
so
in the main room?
So they were in the same building?
In the same building. She told us, she said, no, you don't go in there and work for him and work for me.
It was called the Comedy Funny Farm? Is that what it was?
No, but he had a comedy night that he would do this. He used to do rock and roll shows in her. Anyhow,
Mitzi was on 93.5
Mitzi bought him out. She bought him out, and that became the main room. And in that room would be Jackie Mason, but he'd get the door. Jackie'd come in after he charged $25 at the door. She took the food and drinks. Buddy Rich played near the drummer. Yeah. He took the door. Cool. She took the food and drinks. Rodney Dangerfield, he took the door. Blah, blah. So we all come in here and work on new material. I come off the road thinking I'm going in the original room to try out my new material. I go out the road, and they said, oh, Tom, you're in the main room. I said, the main room? Wow. I go in the main room that night. It's David Letterman, Robin Williams, Jay Leno, Tom Dreesen, Elaine Boozler, I think Gallagher. It was all these. We were all newbies, but
This is pre-Watermelon Gallagher?
That was at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they wrote the Watermelon.
What is Gallagher doing?
He was. Now what is he doing?
No, what was he doing then? Now.
I tell you, he's one of the most clever comedians I've ever. He's a great comedy writer. All he's remembered for is the Watermelon, but he was really a brilliant monologist.
Were there the side wings of the room at that point, or was it just that's what I heard somebody say, is that it was just the front section, back section, not the sides?
You're right.
Gotcha.
But so what happened? I come and I do the show, and I go on stage, and I said, geez, I feel like I'm back in Las Vegas with like 400 people in the room. Afterward, we all go to Cantor's where the comedians hang out at. We're all sitting around talking, and Jay Leno walks in, and he said, man, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. She pays Buddy Rich, he gets the door. She pays Rodney, he gets the door. Maybe it took 5 of us to fill the room, but the room was filled. And so they start talking about comics getting paid. I'm not even in this conversation. I'm doing real good.
Yeah.
But they decided to hold a meeting, and about 100 comedians showed up, and I went because this is, these are my peers, and they were all talking at the same time. Being in a room with 100 comedians, Gallagher saying, why don't we burn the place down, and crazy shit. So I'd listen to them, and all they decided at that meeting was, they decided one thing, let's have another meeting. So I went to another meeting a week later, and I'm listening to them, and they're so disorganized. And I had been in the JCs. I knew Robert's Rules of Order. I knew how to conduct a meeting, And so I said to them, you guys, let me just conduct the meeting. And I start getting them organized. Oh, hold on. Jay, Gallagher, be quiet. Jay's got the floor. Jay, make your point. Then put it in the form of a motion. Then I start forming committees and subcommittees and helping him. And all of a sudden, they decide, I'm going to Mitzi. I'm the spokesperson. I go to Mitzi every night, and I talk to her. I said, Mitzi, the comics want to get paid. She said, no, they didn't want to pay. And she didn't want to pay. And I kept saying, Mitzi, you pay the doorman, you pay the guy who cleans the toilets, the waitresses get paid. Shouldn't the comics get something? And she didn't want to pay them. And then one night, I had an idea. I came over in the morning, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I was waiting for her. I said, Mitzi, you're charging like $5 at the door. Why don't you charge $6, $1 more, and let the comedians have that $1, share the comedian. I didn't want to get paid, because she had even pointed out, Mitzi said, Tommy, you're doing real good. You got your start here. You're doing real good. I said, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I don't want to get paid. But a lot of these kids are struggling. You know, they couldn't afford gas money or food. So anyhow, it became a nightmare, a fucking nightmare. I got so involved, and I didn't want to get involved in it. Then the comedians voted to go on strike. You know, last thing I want to do, I was involved. I was a Teamster when I was in Chicago. I know what strikes can be like. So I kept coming to Mitzi saying, Mitzi, could we resolve this? You know, and long story short, she didn't want to pay the comedians, so they decided to strike. I come down there that night, the night they were going on strike, and they all voted, instead of all of us talking to the media, Steve Bluestein was in charge of getting the media out here. Well, he got every ABC, NBC, CBS, he got Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, he got all the major networks here. They were out in front. And they decided, rather than have 16 comedians talk to the media, Tom will do it. Tom will be the one. Now,
I got this.
Now I'm Jimmy Hoffa, right? Now,
Did you, when you knew you had to do this, did you try to make any sort of jokes at all? Or were you like, it's knowing that you're now doing something with the media involving comedians on strike, there's obviously pressure. Any comedian in their head is like, is
We
there
know
gonna
him
be jokes
from
as a
we
part
know
of
him from the
this?
Tonight Show and everything.
Yeah, like did you feel, or did you just go and say your piece as sort of?
You have a comedian introduce. A comedian
Yeah.
goes up to the reporter and says, "You know this next
You've
guy
seen
from the
this guy
Tonight
around
Show."
town.
you know, the comedians, they came with signs, you know. No,
Yeah.
you've seen the signs.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
No yucks, no bucks, and all that stuff. And I no more what I've always been. I played basketball. I played football. I was always the littlest guy. I boxed when I was in the service. You know, I never want to get in a fight, but when I get in a fight, I want to win. You know, I never want to, and I just want to win. And so I felt that in principle it was right. And the other hard part was Mitzi was a friend. Mitzi, I took her on radio shows because she's very shy. And they had a girl named Estelle Endler here who was in charge of PR. And she'd book me on radio shows to talk about the Comedy Store. And I'd take Mitzi sometimes with me because she was shy, but I would say, come on out. And we'd talk. So I love Mitzi. I really liked her. I didn't want to oppose her, but I didn't want to, oppose my peers as well.
Yeah,
it was
of
very
course.
difficult. 19 people crossed the picket line, 18 guys and one girl, or it would have been over in one night. But that kept it going for like almost 8 weeks.
The same people.
The same. And it just it was really difficult time. And now I'm in a fight. And then Sammy Davis, I had $50,000 worth of work to do with Sammy. And Sammy, in those days, that was a lot of money. Yeah. It's still a lot of money. But Sammy, I told him what I was doing. He said, you go ahead and don't worry about it. What you're doing is right. He said, you can come back on the road with me as soon as this thing's settled, which we thought would be a couple weeks. But
Wait, so you didn't perform anywhere else in addition to here?
No.
And did everyone agree to that, or would they perform at other clubs?
Well, there was
except
no
for
one.
here?
There was only one other club at that time, and
Or
that
the
was,
Improv,
it
I
was
guess.
the Improv.
Would they go there? Or
Well,
no?
you didn't
Was
read
the
the book.
Ice
on-
House around? Did
Yeah, the
anyone-
Ice House. Dave Letterman and I and George Miller would go out there sometimes. In fact, there's still a picture there of Dave and I and George. I'll show you how old the picture is. Dave sitting underneath a payphone. When was the last time you saw a payphone?
Because that's where Steve Martin started, I thought. was
Yeah,
the Ice House.
And there was a place called the Horn,
Yeah.
and too. I mean, there was a place that
Cool.
would pay
Yeah.
you the Horn, and I think the Ice House paid a little bit. But
So then, how long was the strike?
8 weeks.
8
about
weeks.
What happened is during the time, you didn't read the book, I'm dying up here, but at the time, we were going on strike.
Door Guy 101.
Yeah.
It's the intro to
No, I
Door
know,
Guy.
I've read-
I did
I've
read
read
it,
the
but I
book,
don't
yeah.
remember the specifics of
It's a history.
the.
It's a history.
I thought it just meant they couldn't perform.
Willie, you
here.
read that book?
Huh?
No, what happened was during the strike.
That's why you're sitting over there. You didn't read it.
During the strike, we had a waitress here who was our spy on the inside. And when Mitzi would meet with those who were her loyalists, that Robin would tell us, I shouldn't tell you her name. Oh, she's
Eleanor Kerrigan.
she would tell us what they said. So anyhow, one night she says the
Dana.
comedians are talking about going on strike, and when and one of the comedians said the comedians won't go on strike; they need a place to work. And another comedian said, what if they work the Improv? She said, Mitzi said, they may go over to the improvisation. And the other comedian said, what if there was no improvisation?
Yeah.
And 2 days later, they threw a Molotov cocktail on top of the roof of somebody did, and burned the place down. The back, but the front of the Improv was open. So Bud Friedman came to me and said, Tommy, if you guys strike me, I'm dead. I need to rebuild this club. I said, but we don't want to go on strike. Comics don't want to go on strike. Will you write a memo? Will you say that once you get rebuilt, if we work your place, that you in good faith will negotiate with us for a fee for the comedians? He said, he signed it.
Yeah.
So when we were on the picket line, we'd say there's no show here. But you can go to the Improv. We'll be on there later on, and it was a burned out building. It smelled like wood, burnt wood, but we would get up, and there was a big piece of canvas behind us. But we'd get up and
Do you know who threw it?
Would you?
Do you have
Would
it-
you?
Or you have your
hold on, wait a
suspicions.
second.
I'm through it.
Would you confirm? Would you? Because from what I know, from what I think I guess, it's never actually been confirmed. But would you confirm that it was a very rotund comedian who threw the Molotov?
No question. Look, hey, Biff Maynard before he died. Now, let me digress because Argus is going to hear this show. Argus and I have been friends.
Oh, Tommy, you really spilled the beans.
Argus and I have been friends from the day he came. I was out here before him. The day I love Argus. We've been friends for all these years, and he's a prolific writer. He's a good guy. In his heart, he's a real good guy. But he was very loyal to Mitzi, and God bless him. He would come out when we were talking we were talking to customers. Argus would wait till I finished. When I'd say, "Folks, we're on strike here, but we're all working at the Improv." Argus would say, "Are you finished?" How much? He said, "This is my friend Tom Dreesen, and he's a fine man, and I think the world of him. But we do have a show inside, folks." and because I understood that, So I love Argus. So Argus disagrees with me, but I know who threw the thing on the roof, and also Biff Maynard, God rest his soul, before he died, he told me who did it, and he agreed that what happened, but. That was the I can't describe to you what it was like out here at that time. The tension and when it was over, I was so relieved that it shouldn't have never happened. It could have been resolved in one day.
Yeah.
I mean, with $1. Don't charge $5 at the door. Charge $6 at the door. If we draw 200 people, the comedians split up $200 for that night. If we,
I mean, that's basically, now in the main room, that's at least basically what they do. It's more just direct split.
By the way,
is that still the same deal from
that was part of our
split half the
contract.
door.
Was the split the half
That's
the door
contract
split? Yeah,
That was a contract. We Dave Letterman had a
and 15 in the OR. Correct.
Dave Letterman had
for 15 minutes.
Dave Letterman had a lawyer named Ken Browning. He was with Henry Bushkin, who was Bushkin, Games, Wolf, and Copelson. That was Johnny Carson's lawyer, Henry Bushkin. Dave Letterman, this was his lawyer. He recommended us to Ken Browning. Ken Browning came out here and represented us for free. And the night that the strike was over, that he came inside, Mitchie and I and him, at 4 o'clock, and we stayed there till 4 o'clock in the morning writing up the contract. And the part of the contract was 50% in the main room, at the door, whatever you get.
That's still the deal today.
Yeah. It's up to $50 in the original room.
Yeah,
I heard it was in her will that Argus goes up whenever, second all the time. Like
I've heard there's rumors
he gets
that,
spots every week. Like that's in the will.
Of will and the things in the will. Yeah, it went up to $50 in the OR.
Yeah,
We just had to burn down flappers. That's all we had to do.
Yeah, Peter Shore told me that a while back. He said, "Hey, I'm boosting it in the original room to 50," which is great.
He said, "I don't want any trouble." Is that what he came up to you? He's like, "Tom, please."
I didn't come back here for over 40
Teamster
years.
Tom.
40 years, yeah,
Over
right?
40 years, I never came. And the reason I didn't come back, the kid that committed suicide, Steve Lebeck.
Yeah.
He came after the strike was over. We were all the comics were meeting, and I was saying my goodbye speech. Goodbye. You guys are on
I'll
your
see you
own
in
now.
40 years.
Yeah, but I said so. I was anyhow. And Steve Lebetkin came up to me afterward, and I had to go catch a plane. I was going to Tahoe to do a show in Tahoe with Sammy, and also George Slaughter wanted to interview me to do it. He was doing a show. He wanted me to be on this show. In fact, I didn't do it, but Byron Allen took the job. I can't remember the name of the show, but anyhow, long story short, I was in a hurry, and my ex-wife was with me. I forgot her name. Oh yeah, Plaintiff.
Solid classic.
But she was saying, "Come on, we got to go."
Yeah.
And Steve Lebetkin came up to me and he said, "Tom, please don't leave the group. If you leave the group, and you and Letterman and those guys that leave the group, they will be hard on us because we had in the contract if you walk the picket line." You're not allowed. You couldn't be retaliated against because you walked the picket line. It was part of the contract.
Could I tell them what you said? Is it I won't perform here until you do?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because he was so upset. He said, "Tom, I called in 3 weeks in a row for a spot, and I don't get spots." And my wife saying, "Come on, we got to go." And I said, Steve, it's in the contract. She can't retaliate. You're gonna be on soon enough." He said, "Tom, but you don't get it, Tom. You don't get it. Every time I try, I know she's not gonna put me on." And and I grabbed him by his shoulders. I said, Steve, I won't go back till you go back. I give you my word. I won't go back till you go back because you're gonna go back. Now I go to Tahoe. I'm working there a week. Jay Leno calls me 5 minutes before I'm going on stage. He thought I had just got off stage.
Oh, God.
I'm ready to walk on stage. He calls me and says, in my dressing room, he said, "Steve Lebetkin committed suicide." He jumped off the top of the Continental Hyatt House toward the Comedy Store and landed on the ramp out there, that driveway ramp. And he left a suicide note. His note said, "My name is Steve Rebetkin. I used to work at the Comedy Store." And I had to go on stage, but I thought, I wish I'd have never, ever got involved in this crazy situation that could have been resolved in one day, you know. And so I never came back.
Yeah.
And then when they were doing the documentary, Mike Binder came to me and said, and Peter Shore called me and said, "Would you do the documentary about the Comedy Store and all that stuff?" And I thought about it. I said, yeah, you know, I thought, and Letterman, I talked to Dave, and he said, yeah, you should go down there. And so Mike, you know the story. He filmed me coming back here and all that crap, you know.
Had you seen Argus when in the 40 years you weren't here, or did you have to
I would see him
only jogging? You saw him out.
No,
You saw
I
him
would,
jogging.
you know, once in a while I'd drive by, because some of my fondest memories are here. This place,
Yeah, of course.
Without, you know, I owe Mitzi without me being on this stage. Had she not approved of me, I was going back to South Side of Chicago. It was over. The pressure to get on at the Comedy Show was greater than the pressure to get on the Tonight Show, because it was the only game in town. So if Mitzi said no, it was all over for you. You had to go back. There was no place to go, you know. So I owe her, you know. I mean, and she knows that. Argus got her on the phone with me, you know, and we talked, you know, about the old times and all that stuff, you know. But
How does it feel coming back now? What's it feel like?
sometimes it's like going back to high school, you know. Sometimes it's like going back and then but it's still a lot of fun when I go on stage, and I think that this is where I got the Tonight Show. It changed my, you know, and from the original room, you know. I go in the main room, and it just reminds you of all the people I worked here with, some who are dead and gone now, you know. Robin being one of them, you know, and just, you know, but more than that, I love seeing you guys. That's what thrills me the most, because you're the young.
We're the best.
David Letterman's, you're the young Jay Leno. You're all the people that
the young
you know,
Ollie Joe Prater.
Yeah.
I see a hat.
They used to accuse him of stealing material one time, and one time a comedian went up to Ollie and said, damn it, you stole the joke of mine. And he named the joke. And Ollie said, "You're full of shit. I stole that from Bill Shaw."
Go talk to him.
Yeah, he said, "I stole that
Broadway,
from
Danny Rose. Yeah. That's fun.
Man, yeah. This has been fun.
This is so cool.
What are we at?
We're probably around 40 minutes or so.
Oh, really? Hell yeah.
I would say, I mean, I have stuff from the week. I also have tips. If you tip at the door, I mean, this is how we buy sandwiches now. Like, this is what we're fighting for, is tips.
You doormen get tips?
Yeah.
Well, we
People
ask
from
for them.
Evermore Genetics.
ask for
We
them?
we throw it out. We throw the idea
we have a
out
tip
there
jar,
into
and
the-
when people come in, we go, "Hey, we don't make that much. We would love it if you would tip." And some people are very generous.
Wow.
Some of them drop $5 or $10 in and go,
And-
and if you mention the Doorcast, we'll shout you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got pickpocket schemes. We got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a real trap in there.
3 bench Monty
Yeah, we're doing 3-card Monty on the
on the VIP
What is
booth.
it? A ball with a cup.
yeah,
People
the
from
Shogun.
people from Evermore Genetics in Santa Cruz, friends of Frank Castillo.
Sounds like
drop
it.
some money.
Stoners.
Toby, who is Chris Glick's son, the piano player.
Oh yeah, Toby
right.
Glick.
You know him?
No, it's
That's
a great name,
Yeah,
Toby Glick.
That's good. Michael from San Antonio, and I didn't get any of the numbers even because Kaylee didn't write them down. I've
Can
been
I-
too mean to Kaylee recently, but it's been really fun for me.
At the time, whenever you were touring with Frank Sinatra.
Yes, I never toured with him, but
Oh
go
yeah,
on.
Luke, whenever you were out there.
I didn't tour with him, but I
Yeah.
toured near him.
Yeah.
He was great.
He was playing the.
Can I say?
You were in the upstairs room.
Frank, great guy, really good, nice guy.
That was like the biggest he was at. Was that the time when he was like at his biggest and like he was the biggest?
He was at his biggest for 60 years.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, touring with him was unlike anything. I toured with Smokey Robinson. I toured with Natalie Cole. As I told you, I toured with Sammy Davis for years. But Frank, 20,000 people in an arena. 20,000 people in the round in Hawaii.
Not just Italian.
Hawaii,
Dave.
40,000. No, are you kidding me? He sold out in Japan.
Yeah.
This guy sold in Brazil. Look it up in the internet. 175,000 people came to see him. 170. No single artist has ever done it. Rock groups maybe, but no single artist. He was larger than life.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of what it was like to open up for Frank Sinatra. There's 20,000 people in the arena.
In a round? Or
In the round.
Wow.
In the round. You're like be working at the what you call it?
The forum?
The forum, yeah. Where people, 20,000 people. Now, there's 20,000 people out there. And the road manager, the first night I opened at the Nassau Coliseum for him, Hank Catania was his name. He said, Tom, tongue in cheek, he's saying, Tom, here's what we want you to do. There's 20,000 people out there. We want you to go out there in the center of that arena. And for the next 40 minutes, we want you to hold their attention. Oh, one more thing, Tom. We want you to hold their attention, but we want you to make them laugh for 40 minutes. Oh, one more thing, Tom. We not only want you to make them laugh for 40 minutes, you want to make them laugh when you want them to laugh. We want you to pull the strings on the emotions of 20,000 people. No props, no tricks, no charts, no special arrangement, no special lighting, no orchestra, nothing but you and 20,000 people. And one more thing, Tom, not one of them came to see you.
40 minutes is a
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
So long.
Because I didn't know opening acts. Was that kind of standard? Because I feel like the opening act that's a comedian for a musician was far more common, and then now it happens sometimes, but I don't know about the length of the sets.
It would be
40 minutes is a long time.
Frank, if he was doing an arena, we'd do more. He normally in Vegas, we worked Vegas, Tahoe, Reno, Atlantic City. He worked 90-minute show. He'd say, Tommy, do 25, I'll do an hour and 5.
Yeah.
Or some nights he'd say, Tommy, he called his throat his reed. Reed's a little sore. Do 30 and I'll do an hour. You know.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing you could ever say. That's
Everything he said was cool. It was hard to describe what it was like. You know, it's time to go on the road, and a limo would pull up in front of my condo, and 2 big guys would come and carry my luggage down. They'd carry me down if I wanted to be carried down. Drive me out to Van Nuys Airport, out to the private jet, right out to the jet. They'd load all the luggage, everything. I'd get on the jet. The moment Frank put his foot on that jet, we had a pilot called Johnny Spots. He'd say, "Take off, Spots."
Is that a nickname or his real name?
That was his real name, Johnny Spots.
Take off, Spots.
Take off.
My reed's ready to go.
Yeah, he'd say, "Let's go, Spots," and we take all that pre-flight shit better be done. We take off down. We'd land. Squad cars and limousines pick us up, rush us to the arena. We'd do the show. Squad cars and limousines would rush us out to the jet. We'd be flying over the venue. People weren't even in their cars yet. We're on our way to the next city. It was unlike anything I'd ever been on. It was really.
What cities are memorable? Do you have any that you hit that were like?
Oh God, I did 45, 50 cities a year with him for.
Did you do Madison
14
Square
years.
Garden?
No, not Madison Square Garden, but I did Nassau Coliseum. We did Radio City Music Hall.
Oh wow!
In Chicago, we did. Every time I'd go back to my hometown, we'd do another big arena. You know, it was just hard to describe. And then he'd do Omaha, and he'd do Lincoln, Nebraska, and these big arenas. You know, everywhere we'd go. Hawaii. You know, it was hard to describe that with him. It was like a show business that I'd never been around before. You know, because it was
Such a big
yeah,
scale.
it was, and every night you'd go on stage, you'd be saying, "I'm really happy to be here," and you look and say, "Oh my God, there's the President of the United States." You know, you'd be saying, it was all the Gregory Peck and Kirk Douglas and Angie Dickinson and all these stars would
Must have been unbelievable.
What president did you perform in front of?
And 5 presidents. I did,
Trump
I
5
performed
times.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, nice.
He was actually watching. He was watching your show.
I did.
Fourth year,
I performed for Bill Clinton. I performed
It was
for
that night.
Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, both Bushes, and Gerald Ford.
Did you notice which one laughed? Was one not laughing the whole time, and you were annoyed?
Reagan and Clinton were two of the. Reagan was a great joke teller. He loved telling jokes. He loved comedians.
Did you know him before
His
he was
presidency
president?
was a
No,
joke.
not before he was president. But
He also loved crack.
Nice input from the ghost that's in
cocaine.
here.
No one knows he's a ghost. I mean, it's just like he's still on mic.
What?
You can hear me.
Clinton was he was a real astute politician. Whoever was with him, like you go to the White House, if there'd be people in a line to meet him, you were the only person in his universe. I don't care if you're the janitor, you were the only person in his universe. Whatever was around him, you were the only.
Focus.
And he would stay on your eyes and talk to you and listen. And when he was done with you, then you were the only person in his universe. He was an astute politician, and he also knew. Whenever there was a celebrity in your audience, Bob Hope or Lucille Ball, anytime there was a celebrity in my audience, especially if they were a comedian, whatever joke you do, the whole audience would look to see if that person was laughing.
And you're doing the same also?
And then they would laugh. Then they
Yeah.
would laugh. So Clinton was well aware of that. what he would do, he would say, focus on you, and he would pound the table because he knew they were looking at him.
He would
Break the tension. He's
he'd
good.
go, ooh, like you do Arsenio. That's funny. Yeah, the pounding. See that?
I do a table. Yeah, I'll do
I'm
like
saying
a slow arm.
The president pounding the table
I
is
can
Would
see
make
Bill
me be
Clinton.
like,
Yeah.
I can laugh at this.
No, but now it's the comedians. You know,
Right,
comedians,
exactly.
when we're in a room watching another comedian, rarely do you ever see comedians laugh unless you're bombing. If you're bombing, they'll go, ha ha. They're letting you know. They're letting
Oh,
you
I
know.
love it. I can't help it. It's really, truly like...
the mean laugh.
I'm like Jessica, but for bombs.
Jay Leno used to say, you know, whenever something like that, and the comedians in the back would laugh, he'd say, folks, for you who do not understand, he said, see, that's the comedians in the back, knowing that joke didn't work. He said, it's kind of like, you know, when the little rabbit gets his paw caught in the trap in the jungle, and all the other animals come and eat him. He said, that's what you guys are doing, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll eat. When you only said you only came to the Comedy Store before it was Mitzi's place once?
Yeah, with when Sammy Shore ran it, yeah.
Gotcha. And what was did you feel? Do you remember? Do you feel if it was very unorganized, or you were just so entranced in being?
No, it was interesting to me that a comedian named Sammy Shore, at that time, Sammy had been open for Elvis, so he was known and all that stuff. But that he would start this room where just comics get up and Red Fox would walk in and get up on stage. Anybody could just walk in and.
Were tickets free?
No, he didn't charge anything at the door at that time.
Was there a drink minimum?
Yeah, there was drink and all that kind of stuff.
But there was not a drink minimum. You could just get drinks.
To my knowledge, there was never a drink minimum at that time.
Because that's when does that concept
I heard
start?
Mitzi is the one who
invented.
invented the 2-drink minimum.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. What I've been told.
Yeah.
Argus also told me she went to the moon. I don't know what that's about. She had said,
That's what she thought.
Because they'll operate the lasers up there. He knows she's Jewish. Yeah.
It's funny. What's funny about two people in comedy, in my 52 years in comedy, there's two people when you're talking about them, they can't talk about them. If another comedian's talking about them, they can't talk about them without doing their voice.
Yeah.
One was Mitzi and the other was Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And both of those voices are similar,
Yeah.
Hey, big guy,
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's an interesting idea of when you say Jay Leno called you about Steve Lubetkin, that the idea of him
telling
having
you someone.
it sounds like an impression somebody would do like as a Saturday Night Live audition. This is Jay Leno giving bad news.
Yeah.
And then, like basically that's what
Yeah.
like I was really trying to picture it. It was
how the strike ended, right? The strike, and Jay was a major part. What happened was I had to speak before Screen Actors Guild, and after they had a big meeting, and they asked us, would I come up and speak about what we're doing, and would Mitzi's representative, which was Biff Maynard and Danny Mora, they came and spoke on Mitzi's behalf. I went with Mark Lanau and Joanne Lanau, and I spoke before the Screen Actors Guild, and so did they. And I spoke about our part and their part, and so forth and so on. And then afterward, they came to us, the president of the Screen Actors Guild, and said, we cannot support your effort because you're not a member of the 4As. We were in a union. He said, but we will take out a full-page ad in Variety and a full-page ad out in Hollywood Reporter asking the actors and writers and producers of our industry to support you in this behalf. So knowing that, Biff heard that, he came back here. I came back here, and we're out in front here walking the picket line. And Mitzi had gotten an injunction; you couldn't walk across the driveway, which was right.
Yeah.
Which was right. It was right. Do that.
You tell everyone to get out of the driveway.
That's big part of working on the patio is saying.
Yeah.
Wait,
steer
I just
clear
thought
of the
that was
driveway.
for safety. That's.
It is.
But
But it
only
was.
for
It was.
safety.
But so meanwhile, I come back and
No.
they're walking here, but I see some of them by the driveway, and one of them was Jay. And meanwhile, Biff is now facing east. And waiting for the traffic to go by to pull in this driveway, and he's racing his engine, rum, 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 rum. And I look up and I see he's gonna pull, and I said, hey, get out of the driveway. And he peeled in that driveway, and we hear bang, and I look, and Jay's laying on the ground, and the girls start screaming, Dottie Archibald, all the girls, he hit Jay. I said, son, bitch, he hit Jay. And at this point, I was at nervous breakdown. I was so sick of this whole bullshit, and now it looks like Jay's dead. He's laying on the ground, and I'm thinking,
What's interesting about being hit by cars?
I made up my mind that when Biff came up, I was going to deck him.
Yeah.
And he was a pretty tough guy, but I had it. And I kneel down, and I tell, we had no cell phones in those days, and somebody get an ambulance. And I kneel down and look at Jay, and Jay laying there, and he opens one eye, and he winks at me. What he did was, what I didn't know, when the car went by, Jay hit the side of it with his hand, boom.
Like a
and then
wrestler.
He fell down.
Oh, he did a slip and fall.
Yeah.
He did a little like
pratfall, yeah.
So now I said, "You son of a bitch!" No, everybody's up. Meanwhile, Biff come out of the car and the girls are screaming at me. He said, "Well, I didn't mean that." And he goes inside. Meanwhile, ambulance has come, and they're going to take Jay away. And Jay's trying to tell him I'm okay, but they can't do
course,
that.
yeah.
They have to take you to only the hospital can release you.
Yeah.
So Jay has to go away in the ambulance. And Mitzi called me inside and said, "Let's settle this thing tonight." So I got a hold of Ken Browning, and as I told you earlier, we sat and talked till 4:30
Wow.
in the morning.
Where did you sit and do it? Where in the
in our
building?
office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you keep it straight that night that you're like, I can't believe he hit Jay with the car. Wow, that was a lot. Really can't believe he. Wow.
I just kept saying, "I hope he's okay."
Yeah.
Well, that's where the whole, and then later when Steve committed suicide, the rumor was always that there was ghosts in here. It started
course,
even
yeah.
before that. That there was ghosts in this building. But it's really good because it's good for publicity. Let them keep thinking there's ghosts in
Yeah.
here. By the way,
You don't
there's one
think-
behind you. Right now.
Yeah, there's one.
You don't think there are ghosts in here?
No.
No.
I've always said on this podcast a lot. I repeat myself, but I say this place is haunted by living people. It's the ghosts. We all walk. There's some people walk around. And you go, they're still hanging out even after that.
I don't know,
that
but
they
it would
got
be
into.
interesting. It would be. I wish there was, and I could say to him, "Is that you, Steve? You waiting to go back on again, or something?"
Yeah, she said no.
Steve,
The ghost of Mitzi's here too. Going, no, you can't
Yeah,
go
they're going
on.
back and forth. When was your first set back here after 40 years? And also, in the middle of that, was there ever, like, you would drive by and you would kind of like,
Were you living out here, or were you
oh
living?
yeah, I live in Sherman Oaks.
how dramatic was it, I guess, in your mind when you would drive, like, you drive by just on the way to one thing and you see the Comedy Store, or did it kind of wither, like, kind of fade away as, like, I guess the
Time
the
went
wound
on.
kind of thing?
I don't think it'll ever leave me because it was such a dramatic time,
of course.
and also an exciting time. And my whole life changed, and I mean everything I have, everything I own, came from from first of all from meeting Tim Reed. That changed my whole life. I would never thought I would be a comedian, but this Comedy Store, it set me on the right path, And then the friendships I made here were still my friends today. Jeff Altman and Dave Letterman and. Johnny Witherspoon, they passed away. Johnny passed away. George passed away. But a lot of great fond memories here,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. That's been
Tom,
it's
this
This has
been
been so cool.
a pleasure and an honor.
Yeah.
Next week on Monday, where can people come see you in the main room? You're doing a
Well, here's the deal.
Show.
If we get 100 people, only 100 will do it in the original room. I don't know if 20 people are going to show up, or I don't care, or 100. But if it gets more than that, then we have.
What's the date and time?
Next Monday, April 24th at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
It's going to be a motivation talk, and I think you'll enjoy it. Because
This podcast is the stairway to stardom when it comes to selling out at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad of that because I tell you what.
Thank you, Bruce. That's
This
very kind.
is I've hit the peak now. I'm on my way out from after this.
Yeah, this is the big media implications. This is the press junket for the.
And you got someone who can cut your videos now.
Oh yeah, I'll
That's
be in
so
there.
that's
There you
a
go.
I'm gonna
thing.
really. Well, they used to do it like this for movies with people, but now they do it like this for the cell phone. It's been a great episode, everybody. Thank you.
Bruce, where can people find you?
Bruce Gray online, brucegraycomedy.com, Bakersfield 429, Tembler Brewing, Portland, Oregon 51 through
429,
58. This is my last Doorcast as a door guy. I love
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys
you're
all.
sta- you're-
I'll be
yeah.
I'll be in, I'll be out. I'll still come by the
There was
thing.
a story about you this week that you met a doppelganger. It was crazy.
Oh, Brendan
That
Sagalow, yeah.
looks exactly like
Yeah,
you.
yeah. We've been connected online many times. And then
Yeah, I
we met.
understand. It was truly I did 2 double takes in one night. I was really like, did Bruce? And it was some other guy.
Yeah.
Logan, where can people find everything?
Okay, Instagram. My name is Places I Took a Shit This Year. I'm sorry, Tom. This has been a beautiful, enlightening episode, and I'm just ruining it.
Knock Bruce's hat off there.
I heard you sigh, and I was
'Cause
like,
I was like-
she's gonna do the Instagram.
Yeah,
It's a big episode. People will follow because
yeah.
Dom's
And
on.
then on Twitter, if you're still using it, I'm at a dirty Gunts.
Because Logan Guntzelman, of course.
And that's. And I'll be here at work.
Willie, where can people find you?
Guy, I just want to say you guys had a great podcast. That was really fun to watch.
Willie, give us the traffic report. Dude.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the guy late night. Was that little Mexican dude that Fallon always cuts to? Yeah, I feel like that guy.
You're not gonna plug. I'll move on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna plug. This was great, I guess.
This is great, I guess.
You're gonna be in New York soon.
June 9th.
Going to New
In
York.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
Juneteenth.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I did it.
Oh yeah.
Preeminent black comic Willie.
I'll ask you, hey, rate and review this podcast. I dare you. What are you, scared? Rate it whatever you want.
What's its rating right now? Can I ask?
You can. And we it was nice having everybody. I got everyone's tips out. I got the I'm sure I'm forgetting something. It's been a whirlwind of an episode. I was
Where can they find you,
riveted.
Luke?
I'm online. I'm not hiding. Everyone knows where Luke does stuff on Twitter. I'm still there, and I'm on Instagram at help for helps. That's pretty embarrassing to say too. Thanks, Katie, for all the help in the booth.
Yeah, Katie.
And we'll
Tom
see you next week.
Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen. We'll see Tom Dreesen next
I
week.
love
at the
this.
door.
Hey, you should keep this.
Bye, Willie.
That white boy, crazy.
That one-